Everything that you hear has been put for you to be heard.
I didn't know anything about film sound. I would go watch a film and say, good film, bad film, and that's about it.
But it still left a lot of people confused, including my mother. He's doing something in the industry, but she didn't know. So there were a lot of lay people who don't know. Fortunately, today, the younger generation and all are far more tuned in, so they understand. But by and large, people are still ignorant about what goes on, behind the scenes.
Every film that we do, either our parents or cousins or family members go see the film, they walk out of the cinema, call up straight, hello, acha music diya. And I'm like, music nahi dete hum log. So that's been constant. People do not know what sound design is. People do not know, from families to everybody. Nobody knows what footsteps क्या incident क्या ambience effects क्या बात कर रहे हैं. Music अच्छा था उसका. Thank you very much. So we've reached the point it's like music कैसा लगा उसका.
The whole profession to a certain extent has been undervalued in certain sense of the word. That what is he doing? He doesn't seem to be doing anything much on location. And even in post, what is he doing? He's just sitting around. What are they doing? They're just playing with a computer.
There's so much that you can say with sound that you cannot say visually.
If I'm sitting in an audience and looking at a movie, like a person walking with pain, I want him to listen to dark sounds. I want him to take him to that state of mind, to make him feel that emotion which that person is going through.
Sound design is not about making you hear things. It's about making you feel things.
When you start hearing sound, it's bad. You got to feel the sound first. Every locality or every region has a particular soundscape of its own. If you want to define geography, and if you're just taking a close-up, if I take a close-up of you sitting over there, now if you're just sitting and looking here and there, I could add the sound of trains, I could add the sound of railway announcement, I could, hawkers and all that. So even if it's a tight close-up of yours, just showing this much with that bit of wall in your background, then people will know that you are sitting. They will relate to you sitting in a railway station. So it's defining geography. And the same frame, if I replace the soundtrack with seagulls and the seashore and a palm, a ship horn, then it'll seem like you're sitting next to an ocean.
Okay, so we can be in the hull of a ship doing this interview right now, or in a plane, or in a hotel room. It's what you do. It's how you play with sound.
Sometimes you feel, okay, the surround is going empty, there's nothing, so you should put certain sounds. No, just put the sound which is very important for the scene, that's it. By just probably pushing the music up by a dB, you change the entire dynamic balance of the scene.
Too much detailing will take away the expression. So if there is a lot of things in the scene and if you put all the sounds together, it will make chaos.
When we work on sound, we just undo sound, not do sound. Like a sculptor, you just put a clay together, like a heap of clay, and then you start undoing that clay. You start sculpting and you make something out of it. So you start cutting sound which is distracting you, you start eliminating things which is bothering you, which is bothering your head basically, which is bothering your thought process. So you cut all that down and bring everyone to watch this one story.
Quite often you see in films where sound design is not done so well, these things stick out. And the moment something sticks out, it means that it's throwing you off track. Okay? So you're missing something that's in the foreground because of something lacking in the background. And the thing that is in the foreground is what you should be following.
I mean, I normally look at sound as something that guides the attention in the narrative.
Feature films was like exclusively 99.9% were being dubbed.
I mean, you didn't have an option earlier because your cameras used to make a lot of sound. So you couldn't do sync sound.
The nuances that come in that are very real. Whereas if he has to recreate it at dub studios like this and it's black and it's dark, there's a mic and there's a script and there's a picture playing. So for an artist, you have to recreate the same emotion again, which makes it very difficult.
But earlier, everything was dubbed. So you had actors who'd come in, they'll watch the scene 5 times, 6 times, they'll write it down, they'll mark their pauses. Because I've seen Bachchan Saab dubbing here, and he's dubbed for 2 characters in the same take. One was the father, one was the son. But he kept rehearsing for 15 minutes to get it right, get it right. He rehearsed, then he said, take. And he gave it in 1 take, which was really, really good. Nowadays, the new generation can't do that because they're not trained to do that. It's not the functionality nowadays. They don't have that much patience because you're stuck in a room and you have to think what you've done there. And you're not acting for the camera, you're acting for the mic.
In dubbing, what happens is, if you're not an intelligent actor, you will not understand tonality. Again, this is where music comes in. So you have to understand the pitch at which you have delivered the dialogue in, the tone at which you have delivered the dialogue in. So if you're an actor who knows this, or at least even if the actor is not aware, you have to be aware that, and you have to play to him the tone that he or she has been dubbing in. It has recorded on location, and you're just replacing certain parts of that particular dialogue with dubbing. So they have to match that the way that person has spoken.
Pitching is very important, which most people don't understand. And volume, like there's a difference between pitch and volume. So if you just understand that pitching and volume, you can do a good job. Any actor can do a good job.
Yeah, he's got something. Basically, he works with the actors. Yeah, that would be more funny. Bachchan, he came late for dub once.
It's just one of the days.
This is really funny.
Like me and Vasu, like my friend, we said we have and he comes 5 o'clock in the morning.
And Sanjay is also very punctual. This is just one of the off days that he got probably
5
late.
o'clock in the morning, and I was like, okay. So I've been doing 5 o'clock shifts, like did couple of days, and then third day I was very bored. It was very boring to get up at 5. So Vasu and me were drinking, and I said, we'll go. I said, I'll reach, man, don't worry. I reached, and I got up late, and then got like half an hour late. He was sitting like this, and then he didn't dub. I don't know why. I told that recordist and I told the director that I'm half an hour little here and there, and you just start whenever he comes. And he didn't start. So I entered. So he was talking to the director on a talkback and this and that. So I suddenly entered and the talkback was on here. So I was like, okay, let's start. Chalo, shuru kar de. So अंदर से एक आवाज आई, आ गए आप. I'm like, oh, the talkback was on. I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
And then I went inside and then I was just adjusting the mic and looking at his face here. And he was just looking at me. I said, वो traffic थोड़ा सा, हाँ, traffic तो नई चीज़ है. Traffic तो हर वक्त होता है. कोई बात नहीं, शुरू करते हैं.
Recently, for example, the biggest compliment I get in Dhoni, actually, the most recent thing, which, the first teaser which he did. There, the actor, I mean, like the actor who's involved in the film. So I was just talking about the teaser and how good it was, about that. And he said, yeah, like, that footage you must have used, the stadium, the entire Dhoni chant and the Ravi Shastri commentary. You must have used the stock footage and all that. I said, no, this we recreated. But, at that moment I felt that's the biggest compliment for me. I mean, we could create that feel that, he felt that is real, So these are the things. I mean, maybe the audience doesn't realize, but if something like that someone comes and tells you, then you feel good about it, yeah.
But it became like an understanding that every film will be done. And the camera is noisy, you can't do anything. And people have invested in that camera, huge amounts, and lenses. So you can't change the package midway through. It will mean import things. in a regime that was not really import friendly at that time. There were licenses required, there were like serious amounts of taxation, customs, so it became a big deal. So the only people who used to have silent cameras were NFTC.
Eventually the camera started having a blimp, and so you couldn't hear the motor. So that's when Sing Sound came back. That's when Lagan did Sing Sound.
What really is location sound? I mean, to those who don't know, it's in a nutshell, putting it very simply, it's the art and the craft of recording the spoken word, the dialogue that's spoken by actors during the shoot. While the camera is rolling, the actors performing, and those words that he speaks being recorded.
My preference is always sync sound. It is sync sound because it captures that moment. It is very hard, however good an artist you are at dubbing, it still captures the best moment, the fresh moment, and the fresh tonality it captures on location. It's very hard to recreate that.
The advantage of sync sound is, suppose you're in a cold or in a rainy weather. I mean, I can say, like in Badlapur, we're all wet. The actors are wet and they're wearing all the jackets, but they're all wet. So being in that cold weather with all the rain happening, their voice changes. So then the kind of life that they are going through there, which comes out in their voice, in their face, their expression, so that cannot be reproduced. So that way sync sound is amazing.
To be a sound recordist in India is probably the last stage in your karmic cycle. You've been through the whole thing. Kutta, billi, insect, earthworm, everything is over. Then sound record. After this, there is only nirvana. Because this is the last stage in the karmic cycle. This country is so incredibly noisy.
There have been scenes where in the middle of a field in Punjab, you're doing a sing sound and it's an emotional drunken scene. This guy's all drunk and he's delivering a very emotional dialogue. And there's some dog barking behind, So these are the difficulties we face.
No, unlike light rays, if you put a black cloth in front, they will not cross it. They will be unable to cross it. Sound can bend around that black cloth and come. There is no 100% soundproofing available. That is portable and that is available and that can be set up quickly and that can be, used effectively on location.
There's never an easy day on location, okay? Or the most perfect day on location. It never happens. It just doesn't exist, okay? So that's what it is all about. It's about location sound is about not just the technique and the technology used to record location sound dialogue on location, but it's also managing the resources of so many departments and their work to make sure that you are able to get as conducive a space as possible to make this happen.
Whether you dub it or whether you record on location, the audience has nothing to do with it. He couldn't care less. Basically, it should sound like part of a story.
But everything that you see on screen is not necessarily from that moment.
So Foley is a very interesting job actually, because these artists, they watch the visual on screen and then try to recreate exactly what the actor has done on screen. So whether it's the walk, what kind of shoes he's wearing, what kind of a tone you need for his footwear, or what kind of clothes he's wearing, the rustle, all those things, all the small details that the actor is doing on screen has to be recreated in the studio.
Yeah, Foley is an art, and Foley artists are artists. Like, yeah, you have to see Foley artists at work. They're like without their pants and all, because like if he has to give footstep sound, he can't have the rustle of his trousers. So they're so dedicated, and they'll be doing like it might look like a very comical thing, but watching a Foley artist at work is damn fun. because they got so many props. Like a Foley studio will be like on Goda.
I'll give you a very well-known film example. The film is known world over, Sholay. If Gabbar didn't have those footsteps that he had, Gabbar wouldn't be Gabbar.
फुटस्टेप में इमोशन लाने की कोशिश करते थे, जो कि नॉट पॉसिबल होता है कि मतलब फुटस्टेप में इमोशन कहाँ से लाओगे. लेकिन क्योंकि हमें पुरानी आदत थी डबिंग की, तो डबिंग से हमने वो सीखा है. तो हम जब वॉइस में इमोशन निकाल सकते हैं तो फुटस्टेप में भी इमोशन ला सकते हैं.
Colonel Singh ji, Gupta ji and Chaudhary sir. These three are very brilliant people. They must have done, I think, more than 1,000 films by now. I mean, I don't know how many thousands they must have done. They have an experience of like each character should sound like this. They know the film. So they'll immediately say it's not working. No, and they have an idea of how it is going to sound there also in the control room while they are doing. So it's very easy to work with them.
वी रसूलपुर कुत्ते के साथ हम लोगों ने एक फिल्म की थी जिंदा. तो उनको बॉडी हिटिंग का साउंड चाहिए था, तो उन्होंने मुझे पूरा नंगा कर दिया और मेरी बॉडी के ऊपर चारों तरफ माइक लगा दिए और फिर पाजी को बोले मारो इसको. अब ये मुझे मान नहीं रहे हैं क्योंकि वो चौधरी को लगेगा या अरे मैं बोला मारो पाजी. तो बॉडी को पर इन्होंने मारा, बहुत डर डर के मारा. तो उसकी एक साउंड का एक अलग इम्पैक्ट आया, क्योंकि वो जो हर फिल्म में डिशुम डिशुम ढा ढप होता है, तो उसको रसूल को वो सब रियल साउंड चाहिए था. तो मेरी बॉडी के ऊपर खूब इन्होंने मारा और उसका निकाला साउंड.
एक सुई का साउंड था, ऐसा पिन गिराता है एक हीरो, तो बोला ये सुनाई देगा क्या? बोला सर सुनाई देगा. मतलब हम लोग ने बहुत बारीकी से उनको करके दे दिया. और उन्होंने जब फाइनल प्रिंट देखा तो फ़ोन करके बताया कि यार तू सही बोल रहा था. मतलब मैं सोच भी नहीं सकता था कि एक पिन गिरने का साउंड भी सुनाई पड़ेगा.
हम लोग घर में जाते हैं, घर में जाने के बाद भी साउंड करते रहते हैं. वाइफ बोलती है ये क्या कर रहे हो तुम लोग, घर में आने के बाद भी तुम्हें चैन नहीं है. लेकिन वो घर में कुछ खाना बना रही है या कुछ यूटेंसिल का साउंड है, बर्तन वगैरह है, तो हम लोग सुनते रहते हैं यार हमें ये साउंड उधर क्रिएट करना है.
Sound in cinema has been changing a lot.
In the 50s and the 60s, when sound was being recorded, there was a separate sound truck, which carried the elaborate optical sound equipment, and sound was actually recorded on that. So it was a huge elaborate process, and there was no concept of dubbing in those days. So you had the live sound. You had musicians on the set. So if there's this lady standing under a tree on an island, surrounded by water, the musicians were submerged in water and they would play the thing because there was just one microphone. There was no multi-track. So the actor actually sang, the actress sang, and these guys played the music. They had to be hidden away from the frame, so they were in the bushes and under the water and those kind of things, and they played with such hardships just to achieve or to get a particular scene.
Because I'm in the digital domain, I have something out there, in this line. My mic is going into this little box there and going from the box to my recorder, and that box is doing something extraordinary. So right now the box is working. So if I turn the box off, everything that you hear now is actually what is in this room that this mic is picking up, apart from my voice. Okay? And I just get the box to work, and there you go. Everything's gone. Just my voice. That's it.
Hearing is still mercifully analog. Speaking is still mercifully analog. But entire chain in between has gone digital.
This has really changed the whole work culture.
But today it's easy, man. In one session, I can just open up. Like, that is the difference, and that obviously makes a difference to your workflow also. Like, it's basically, I think I have a very easy workflow today from what I started.
Now what's happened is with the entire digital medium and things becoming so easy to handle, you lost the art. You stopped giving respect to a process. Now you can download sounds off the internet, you can do sound for it. So it's not an art anymore. So in the true sense, it's supposed to be an art, and it is an art, and that's what we strive for with every film, to push the barrier, to get something new, something that's not done before, something probably nobody else other than us would notice.
We're talking about sound design and its application to Indian cinema, okay, where I see there is a major lacuna because of practical reasons. One is a basic lack of understanding of what sound is, how it works, okay, and secondly, the requirements of resources for the process is always truncated. In terms of time also, because we come right at the end of the whole process, and then everybody is in a tearing hurry to go and release the film.
Mark my words, it's audio visual. It's not visual audio. Audio comes first. But jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai. So that's how it also functions.
Films are a marriage between sound and visual. So if you're going to give that importance to visual, then your sound also has to be at the same space. Unfortunately, that's not the scene here.
But the people, I think over here, they don't realize the importance, and they give very little time for post. Your edit's not locked. You have to keep changing edits and everything. So everything keeps going for a toss.
A lot of mixing studios, the environment, because of lack of time, becomes very, very hard-pressed.
Whereas I think abroad, everybody's probably doing post for like 4 months, 5 months in sound. Here we're probably doing in 1, maximum 2 months.
Whether it's a new director or an old director, though a lot of them have an idea of what it'll be, but when you actually show them what you can do to this particular scene or where it can go with this sort of a design, then most of the time it's a revelation for them. We've seen so many futuristic science fiction movies, but before the cell phone was invented, there's not one movie which depicted the cell phone, which showed you a cell phone, a guy carrying his own personal telephone. Now that is something people thought of, beating gravity, moving around in cars which did not have to touch the ground, people flying in various directions, going to various planets. They've done everything, but they did not think of the cell phone. So probably something like that would crop up.
A situation where I'm seeing a movie and I turn and I see some other aspect of the movie there, you know. Or if I turn this way and I see something else, which is part of the same film actually, you know. You could be turning somewhere else, sitting next to me in that audience. I could be turning and looking at something else. And both our experiences can be different. The experience of seeing the same content, the three-dimensionality in real space, if that can be emulated in a cinema hall, let's say, you know, put it simply, then how is the sound going to work, right?
And I hope people stick to sync sound, not dub.
Yeah, sync sound films are the future. So everything, I think,
to make films sound much more better,
realistic
and you know, make it.
But it's getting there. I mean, it wasn't like that like about 10 years back. Things are looking up.
Even if the vessels change, the whatever the dahi and you know, the rice and dal that you make, that's not going to change. The vessel would change, the convenience would be different, but what you make is still the same.
At the end of the day, it is a passion. It is the love for the films, not just for sound, but the whole craft of the films.
In this film Sholay 3D, when there's a song called Jab Tak Hai Ja, where Hema ma'am is dancing and Samba has to throw the bottle. Now, if you see the original film, she dances on top of that glass, broken glass, where there's no sound. But when we did Sholay 3D, we both felt that we should have that sound. It is something very important. And we tried to create that sound through libraries. We tried to create that sound by different ways in Foley and things like that. But we were just not happy. So happened that we decided that we will go to the Foley theatre and we'll try to get it done with ourselves. And so we walked in there and we looked at the Foley guy, our Foley artist, and we told him that, the sound is really not working. We need to do something more about it. So he said, Aap bataiye, how do you want to do it? So I said, bottle todo, nange pao, aur uske upar chalo. So he laughed at us and he was like, are you serious? Mazak kar rahe ho, sir? So I said, nahi, mazak nahi kar raha hu, serious ho. We had to really, really convince him, but he finally did it. Hats off to him. He finally did that, and that's the kind of sound and that's the kind of dedication you need as a sound engineer, as a sound designer, that it doesn't need to be appreciated, but it needs to be there.
Those 2 hours that you give in the cinema, we're actually manipulating those 2 hours for you. And that is a high. That's a high if I'm able to make you feel agony, make you feel love. You know, if the song is mixed really nicely, fucking it's a romantic song, you'll really feel nice. You know, I mean, it's about massaging your emotions and it's about doing it the right way.
None of the technical departments in a film should be really standing out and be appreciated and things like that, like, oh wow, what sound, oh wow, what cinematography. No, it has to be the whole experience. It has to be, wow, what a film.
It's a triumph in the sense that people have not noticed what I've done. It's only when you notice a sound guy, that means he's done a bad job.
What they carry with them is the music or the songs when they go out of after seeing the film. But what they don't carry with them is the overall sound experience. There's a reason for that. And the reason for that is sound should be discreet. People should not know about you. And that's more challenging. And therefore you will not be seen or heard.
And a lot of time that is victory. When, you know, when people don't talk about it, they just go and say, okay, fuck, that was amazing.
These are things that will never be noticed, but it will be felt. So I would think this is sound design.
Why sound? I have no idea.